just in your own experiences, when did you first start to think about LGBTQ plus people in surgery? What were your first impressions, ideas, concerns, and how has that evolved for you over time? For me, that happened because I was queer and I was going into surgery, and I was evident to me in medical school that that was not necessarily going to be a trivial thing. What were your first thoughts?
So I think for me as a gay person, I came from investment banking and tried to like everything in medicine but surgery because I knew I had a reputation for being pretty hostile to women, minorities, and LGBTQ people. But you like what you like. And I've been pleasantly surprised that I think because of a lot of work that's been done kind of by people who came before me, surgeries, at least in New York City, it's like a non-issue, or it feels like a non-issue to me. I think about LGBTQ people in surgery mostly now from like a recruitment and retention standpoint of how do you kind of dispel the myths that, oh, surgeries, if you're, anything but a straight, white, 6 foot tall guy, can you do surgery? So I think about it a lot from that perspective of like recruiting and retention. And then also from being a visible person for patients who are coming into the healthcare system. I think that's like a really important thing to when we have patients who are LGBTQ plus. I think sometimes we see them at the darkest moments in their lives, and I think knowing that they can see a visibly queer person as their physician and surgeon is very important.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably much older than the two of you. When I was first training, I think the people that I trained, there were people that I trained with that I think I know were closeted, and I saw them struggle. And I think it was, it was extremely difficult for people training in surgery or surgical subspecialties to be in surgery and be out at that time. And we didn't have that language and the resources to support people who were LGBTQ. And I think it impacted the choices that they made. I can only imagine, you can't be your best self and be yourself. And I think the one person in particular, and possibly because I was, for most of my residency being the only Black person, much less only and being a Black woman, that person felt comfortable we were at a conference and bringing his partner to me. He came out to me, but I can only imagine what it must have been like not being able to be your full self, to talk about your partner, while everyone else is talking about their significant others. So as an ally, there just wasn't even those conversations back then. So I think we've come a long way, but we have a lot more to go. And I think that, I think we all have to be allies, and I don't think we can just be silent and be on the sidelines, not saying anything. And I think, our department has been much more open about, having these conversations and making it a welcome environment for our residents. We definitely want to have a diverse community and people that bring their best selves, and residents who are LGBTQ or students to feel like if they want to come here for their residency, that this is a place where they feel safe. We also want to be able to have our faculty, our trainees be able to have the tools and the resources to be able to manage patients who are LGBTQ. We're in New York City. And we didn't have that when I was training. So I think it's extremely important. And that's why I'm so happy that we now have AOSA also as a resource for residents, trainees, and faculty.
Yeah, thank you. And I think just going back to something that Dr. James said, it's true, right? I think things in many places, things in many parts of the country have changed dramatically for the better. Things in many parts of surgery have changed dramatically for the better. And you can be in a place where it feels like a non-issue. But then when you're talking about recruiting people or students or young people joining the field, or when you're talking about patients, they may still be expecting a lot of that hostility, even if it's not necessarily going to be there. And then, of course, there's some circumstances where it is going to be there. So
Sure.
all of that is true at the same time.